Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of God be with all of you. Welcome to another episode of our Ramadan podcast. And I want to say I'm very delighted today to have with us a guest that is quite distinguished. And I would like to take a few minutes of your precious time in introducing our sister Dina Rabie, who is a life coach and a mother of two young adults and a lifelong learner. She began her career as a university professor before spending many years in the financial industry. Dina holds both a short PhD and a master's degree. Both in her lived experience and most shaped her work today. At the age of 53, Dina had faced and overcome major health challenges, an experience that profoundly deepened her understanding of what resilience actually is. Resilience, self-compassion, and personal growth. She now coaches. She's a life coach, and I'm, very delighted of her being a life coach because I know that great work of being a life coach, alongside helping people move forward in clarity and confidence during pivotal moments in her life. When she's not coaching, Dina, she loves reading and traveling and practicing yoga, grounding habits that keep her curious, centered, and connected. Dina, welcome to our podcast, especially in this blessed month of Ramadan. We're happy to have you here. And, I would ask, very straightforward that many of us as Muslims, we inherit Islam through our family, culture, and tradition. But there comes a moment when faith must move from being inherited to be chosen. I love to explore your journey. Maybe tell me a little bit about yourself and our audience a little bit about yourself, your journey, and what actually being a Muslim living in the West means to you.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate being here and having this conversation with you. I think it's very important one. And I also think that it's important that people understand how Islam can be a personal journey instead of an inherited one. And this topic is very personal one to me.
Yeah.
It's because for me, Islam stopped being inherited the moment I needed it to hold me together. There were points in my life where tradition wasn't enough, rules weren't enough. And what carried me was Islam, the real sense that God was there, protecting
Yes.
me, guiding me, taking decisions for me when I couldn't. And then this is when Islam became very personal to me.
So that's that's nice that you said that you went through like some personal challenges in your life, and can if you don't mind share briefly, not in details, what were some of the things that you experienced and how did your faith actually help you during that particular time?
Well, it all started in 2019. And a family member who is very close to my heart was very sick, and I could have lost that person, and that person means the life to me. And then after that, I got diagnosed with cancer in 2021, and I went through a lot of health challenges from 2021 to 2023. And meanwhile, in between, again, family members got sick. And it was just like 5 years of this happening to me in my life. And my question was, how can I raise up again? How can I be strong again? How can I stand on my feet again? And I think the only thing that kept me going is that faith. Of course, like we're all shaped by culture, family, society. And I am who I became because of that. But what feels personal to me in Islam is not what I was told, it's what I experienced. And it's the moments where I felt directly connected to God, not through people, not through pressure, but privately.
Yeah. You know, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I sense how difficult and challenging it is for you to actually share that moment. Sometimes there's this notion that people have that they expect Muslims to look a particular way or have a particular way of practice, but they fail to understand that faith emanates from the heart, right? From the inner recesses of our heart. And with that faith, people find the strength in challenging times. You know, there are many out there like yourself that have experienced many challenges, and the coping mechanism has been our faith that speaks to us in so many different ways, that tells us that, you know, that there is support from a power that is higher than the power that we possess, that there's someone above us that knows why he has designed this with us. So we submit ourselves to that person. We submit ourselves to that essence, so to speak, because we know that he chooses for us. And but while we do that, I know of the pain. It's enormous. How were you? Tell me some of the things that you have done, like when you were told, for example, that you were diagnosed with cancer. Let's focus a little bit about that. I know how challenging it is for you to speak about something like this openly. So feel free to be yourself. If you're not comfortable, it's okay. But I think it would be very nice if we can hear from you. Like, what are some of the things that you did when you were told, like going to the doctor and then you're told that you have cancer? You know, there are so many things that probably comes to your mind, like your family, your loved ones, your children, your dreams that you have. Those are things that all comes to your mind. How are you going to cope with this and fulfill all of that which you have in front of you? So can you tell me and tell the audience, like, what are some of the things that you have done to help you through this moment when you were told that you were diagnosed with cancer?
That's a very good question. And at that moment, I felt that, the carpet was being swept underneath my feet and that life is not going to be the same anymore. And I said to myself, I know I'm being tested. I know I'm being tested. I said this to myself, I think, all the time from the day I started the journey to till the day I got diagnosed. And prior to that, when that important person in my life got sick, I kept saying, I know I'm being tested, but I know that I'm not going to be abandoned.
Hmm.
And that was very important for me.
Yeah.
And there's a saying that I really love, and that brings me to what you actually had said earlier, is that God doesn't look at our faces. God looks at our hearts. And that's where Islam lives for me. Islam lives in my heart. It's not always visible. It's not always loud, but it's always there. It's present. So Islam is the background of my life. And back when I got diagnosed with cancer, I felt that I need to be closer to him. I felt that I need to do dua. I felt that he's there and he loves me. I did not for 1 second ask, why is this happening to me?
Yes. You.
Because I believe that there is justice, even when we don't see it immediately. There is justice in pain.
Yeah.
There is justice in unfairness. And there's reward. And the reward is the patience, the sabr, right? He gives us the patience to go on. But he doesn't do that by himself. He's asking us to work for it. and not to give up, right? And for me, what makes Islam mine and what made Islam in those hard and dark moments mine is that Islam for me doesn't come because I fear a judgment or because there is shame. Islam is accountability to Him, to Allah. And that's what guides me. And that's what kept me grounded. And you know what? Funny enough that we're saying this, I don't think I ever felt that I was scared. Even when I
Hmm.
was being operated on a couple of times, all I did while I was in this operating room was I was asking for forgiveness.
You remember God during that time and asking for forgiveness. That's awesome.
Yeah, because these quiet moments are the moments when these quiet moments are moments when no one is watching you,
Yes.
right? That's when I can talk to Him. That's what I can ask Him for patience, for clarity, for protection, for growth. And sometimes I used to sit quietly and say, yeah, I remember that. I used to sit quietly and say, you know what's inside of me. Guide me to what I need to do.
Mhm.
Because I truly believe the choices that appear in my life will align with the values He already knows I carry.
Yes. I hear you. That's quite profound that you're sharing this, that in that moment that your personal relationship, this is what I'm hearing, that your personal relationship with God was your strength, and in that moment when no one was there, that He was your support, He was your support during that time. So you remember the you know the statement about patience and how important patience is. And it's amazing that you mentioned that, because patient is virtue, right? We have learned that. And God, He says, inna Allah ma'a sabirin, that God is with the patient, that He is with him
Exactly.
in their challenging times, and also in their moments when when things are going well with us, that God is going to be with us, right? So this is a sign of a true believer, when they adorn themselves with patience. And one of the things that comes to mind, just to share briefly, would be when the Prophet, may the peace and blessings of God be with him, he says, amazing is the fears of the believers. Indeed, all of their fears are good. When difficulties befalls them, they're patient. Like when hardship comes their way, they're patient, they embrace it. And you mentioned something, that you are not fearful because you are patient, and God is there beside you in your lone moments. And when goodness comes your way, you give gratitude, and you show thanks to the Almighty. And I think we can learn from that tradition, and it's amazing to see it in practice. This is something that you're echoing, that in your low moments, that you hold on to patience, right? And
Yes.
um so I guess the other thing I would, if you don't mind, so faith and God plays an important role in your life. And
Yes.
living in the West, from your bio, you said you have two kids, two children. How important it is for you, to that faith that you live it, right? And in the West, when we see all of these noise around us, how do you integrate these practices and these values that is quite often forgotten, because people are taken up with their, I'll say, with their personal life, their personal goals, and sometimes faith does not play a part of it. So how do you pass on this message to your kids? And in the West, how was that experience like? How old are your kids? I mean, like, in terms of their
Well,
age.
yeah, they're not kids anymore. So
Oh, no.
my daughter is 30
uh,
years old,
Great.
and she's a doctor, and
Wow.
my son is 25 years old, and he's a professional coach, and he works also in the financial industry.
Yeah.
And well, we immigrated to Canada in 1999. We
Okay.
immigrated to Canada, and my daughter was like 4 years old back then. And my son was born in Canada, in Montreal. So when they were at an age where they can actually go to school, I sent them to Arabic school
Yeah.
on Saturdays so that they could learn a bit of Arabic, they could integrate with the community,
Community.
they
Yeah.
would see other people who are like them so they don't feel like they're an outsider in a Western society.
Yeah.
And at home, we made it a point that we're always speaking in Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
Always speaking in Arabic. At home, we always had the Quran on Fridays during Ramadan. I always had it on. They got used to me always saying Alhamdulillah wa shukr lillah wa
Yes.
la ilaha illallah wa subhanallah. This was something that is in me, like it's innate.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not forcing it.
Yeah. So the reason I'm asking is good, like for our audience to know, like when have faith that our children as well, they look at you, they could be an inspiration, not only preaching at our kids, but having that faith and those values. Your children have a tendency of the people around you, your family, observe, and it has that ripple effect. So you uttering those words, making it a part of your life, it becomes like a magnet that attach them. And I think that,
Exactly.
it will definitely help our children, definitely, and our family, if we live by it. And especially when they grow older, they hold on to that which their parents used to do. You said your kids are old now, they're mature, they have their own journey that they're taking in life. But one thing I always yeah, I will always believe that the things that our parents taught us and lived by always shaped us. Me, I am 47, and I still remember as a kid, like the things that my parents taught me, the values, and I tried to pass it on to those around me, and I try to live by them. And I guess you speaking about your faith and what faith means to you, just wanted to, ask about your kids and how do you pass on those values to them, especially in this time?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's honestly the house, the parents, especially the mom, I guess, plays a big role in that, explaining the right from wrong, at least when they start growing up, having the difficult conversations,
Yeah.
and making sure that they understand that the house or the roof that they live under is a sacred place,
Mm.
you know? And I used to tell them that, like, I go, the house that you're living in right now is as sacred as the mosque. So I can't have, and you won't have alcohol, for example, at home.
Yeah.
Anything that goes against my values as a Muslim was not practiced. And Ramadan, for example, was a big thing. So just like Christmas for the West, I made Ramadan special for my kids. The night before they announced if tomorrow we're fasting, we would be decorating the house. We would be making like the food that we're going to be eating on the first day. So this has become a ritual that we do every single year. And even now, they come at home the night before Ramadan and we prepare that. And the salah, we pray, we break our fast together, we pray Maghrib together, we go to the mosque for Taraweeh together. So it's, and I have to say, it's a blessing. It's not me that did all that. Again, it's my creator who made this easy for me. because I believe so much in him and I love him so much. And these are not slogans for me, by the way.
Yes.
These for me are survival tools,
Wow.
you know?
Yeah.
Times
So
where all I could do was pray and ask him to just keep us safe and guide us. And I think he's done that for me, and I'm extremely blessed and grateful.
I hear that. I believe that faith is within the inner recesses of our hearts and having God living within us. And we live by that awareness and we find our strength from that awareness. What comes to mind is a statement that I was taught, and quite often I will quote it, make the statement, I'll make the quote, and because I'm convinced that, they say, إذا وجدت الله وجدت كل شيء وإذا فقدت الله فقدت كل شيء. If you find God, you would have found everything. And if you lose him, you would have lost everything. And this is what I'm hearing from you, that you found your creator, he is with you, and he was the one that navigated you through that. Now, with a couple minutes more that we have, I just wanted to, ask you if you can share with us, from that challenging moment of yours and having God being your support, and you do tawakkul, putting your trust, being a cancer survivor, you got into life coaching. Can you tell me how the transition into life coaching, what inspired you to get into life coaching, and did your faith play the part in that, or your experience, your faith or your experience played a part, your experience being a cancer survivor, that's what I meant, played a part in you choosing this life coaching to be a part of your life, so to speak?
That's an excellent question. And I think what made me go into life coaching was, again, God, because this was something I was not sure I want to do. I've been extremely successful in my life. And when life brought me to my knees with my cancer, and then I recovered, and I didn't see the light, and I didn't see the purpose, and I was asking him to guide me. And I did a lot of dua because I feel that dua is the most alive part of Islam for me. I felt like he was guiding me towards that. Yes, it was also through you know what? I think my cancer was there because I had to do a shift in my life.
I hear.
I think that it was meant to be. It was meant to be. He did it for a reason.
Yeah, that's quite profound. It's quite profound that you say that. That God chose that for you because he wanted that something to blossom out of it differently, to take you to a different path. That's what I hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I asked him so many times not to test me, and especially not to test me with my children. But I didn't ask him not to test me. Because he knows that if he tests me, my children, I will not be able to sustain it. But he knows that I'm strong and that I could take it on and that I will find a way to survive. I will find a way to change what was destined for me. Islam also lives in what I do quietly, and coaching is something that I really feel I could do. Standing by someone's side in need, giving someone when I can, training someone, teaching someone, without announcements, without labels. I feel he changed my path so I can serve, so I can give back, so I can actually show and reflect what Islam is actually like. Yes,
Yeah.
sometimes I still think about what people will say, that I'm not veiled, but I'm still a Muslim, right? I'm
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
I don't care about people. I care about
Yeah.
him, and he
Yeah.
guides me. And Islam is not about being flawless. It's really
Yeah.
about staying connected.
I hear that, and I really believe that too. That Islam does not want us to be flawless. He wants us to probably recognize our flaw and know that you are trying to rectify your flaw. None of us are flawless, right? And it's amazing that you're sharing this, because I have been an advocate for this same notion that we cannot have a mindset as a Muslim to think in this particular way alone, because you will push a lot of people outside of the faith. Faith is personal. And while we may want our assumption that Muslims should look at a particular way, that we should allow people to grow and have their own experience, right? When you have faith, look, I'm a healthcare chaplain, right? And I know what faith, the mere faith, can do to lift people up in their low moments, right? In their low moments. And
Yes,
God does not look at our appearance, He looks at our hearts. There are certain rituals that we have to do, but you have to allow people to grow. And I think this is a beautiful, as we are concluding, this is a beautiful point to leave our audience with. Not to be judgmental, and not to judge one's faith based on appearance. That's two things I'm going to say. Do not judge someone's faith based on their appearance, because their faith is between them and God, right?
exactly.
And
Exactly.
like we have learned from our tradition, sister, right? I don't want to sound like if I'm on the pulpit speaking,
No,
but
no, no, no.
I just want to, I remember now the story, and I want to share it about this woman who was actually not morally upright. She indulged in a major sin, but she provided a dog with water at a time of need. And the Prophet ﷺ said this woman will be among the inhabitants of paradise. And then on the other side of the coin, here is it that there is this person that uh, outwardly had faith, praying their salah, doing their thing, doing all the rituals, but they were ill treating a cat, providing a cat from eating. Nothing inside, it's shallow inside, all outward. Inward reflects outward. So I think it all starts here, then everything falls in place. And I want
Exactly.
our congregation to know that, and our people to know that. Our community needs to know that. And that is how you allow people to and grow and find the better versions of themselves. Not to be judgmental. And I hear you when you say sometimes you feel fearful that people's gonna judge you, but you don't care, right? You don't care that your
No, I
faith is
don't.
your is personal, so to speak, right? And
Yeah.
our life experience pushes us in a direction. And I want to commend you from the amazing work that you're doing as a life coach. Like reading a little bit about you, being a professor, and then you went doing work in the financial world, so to speak, and now get into life coaching because of your experience on your cancer. That's commendable that you're using this to help people, to lift people up. There are many that is going through now what you went through, and your experience can be a source of light for them. And I want to thank you so much for taking time off for us to chat. And
If I could say something after you to close, and and this is a very important message I would like to relay, that
yeah,
Islam again is not an inherited behavior.
yes,
It's a chosen connection again and again, through honesty, through trust, through humility. It's not perfect faith. It's honest faith.
yes, love it. I
And
love it.
that's very, very, there's a big difference between honest and perfection.
Yeah. Uh, Yeah, thanks for choosing those words. It puts us to think, and it puts us to reflect, puts us in that frame of mind to be mindful of our assumptions that we have. And I really appreciate you taking the time to have this discourse and discussion with me. If you want to share anything as we conclude, we'll give you. If you want to say any closing remarks, any closing things, any advice that you have for people that are, maybe that's one thing you can end with. Anyone that is suffering with cancer, any life-threatening illness, any advice that you can render them? What is one thing you can tell them?
The one thing I can tell them is they need to anchor themselves with their faith. They need to believe that He's there and that He's not going to abandon them. He gave them the illness and He has the cure.
Yeah.
But they have to dig deeper inside of them to find what they need to do to be on the path where He has chosen for them, and to
Mm-hmm.
ask for forgiveness, not from fear, but from humility.
Yeah, love that. I love that. Ask for forgiveness. Keyword. Ask for forgiveness, not from fear, but from humility. You humble yourself in front of Him. That's beautiful. Yeah. So thank you so much, Sister Dina, for taking time off to be here, and hope we can, sometime in the future, we can have other discussions on our podcast. But thank you so much, and may Allah bless you and your family, and give you the strength, give you the resilience, give you the self-resolve that you need to carry on the amazing work that you're doing, and for being a source of light for others. Thank you.
Thank you, and I really appreciate your time as well. Thank you again. Thank
Assalamu
you.
alaikum. Bye.
Alaikum salam.